Welcome everybody to another episode of the Centre Circle podcast. What are we at now, Keith? Episode 45?
45, yeah.
Wow.
Five more to go to the little
big
milestone.
The half century.
Yeah.
All good. In the studio today, you got myself, John.
Yeah, Daz in the building.
Man like Keith. Good to be back in the studio.
Back in the stew. So obviously we got this winter break type vibes. I actually like the way they've done it. So today we'll cover a couple of the games from this weekend. The Newcastle City match. We've got a game that started at pace, Man United versus Spurs. We've got 3 other fixtures to cover. The much coveted AFCON, African Cup of Nations, has started as well. And as always, there's a couple of talking points that have been doing the rounds on social media. Troy Deeney's post-match analysis of one of his players in particular, and Jaden Sancho makes a return to home, as he calls it. So yeah, but starting with Newcastle City, I'm sure by the time everyone listens to this, they will all have seen the highlights. But I didn't actually see the game. Did either of you see the game?
Yeah, I watched the game. Really, really good game. Enjoyable game.
Good from a spectator point of view? Like if you're either the managers...
From a neutral.
From a neutral perspective,
yeah.
It was a good, very good game.
I was kind of watching it, and I think Terrell's touched on this before. You're doing something else. You look at the score, you're like, okay, all right, cool. 1-0 City. This is gonna go as you expect it to. Bernardo Silva, the guy's just something else.
Yeah.
For those that haven't seen the goal, Kyle Walker crosses it in from the right, and Bernardo does. A few players have done it. I like to call it the Carnu. I'm an Arsenal fan. It does the Carnu. Balls coming to him, and he flicks it in behind him into the far corner of the net with his weaker foot, if he has one.
In inverted commas.
Yeah, if he has a weaker foot.
What I was quite impressed with was it was quite high. Like normally they're quite low on the ground. Like he had to jump up and do it. So yeah,
and it was with a bit of force. Like,
yeah.
He didn't just trickle in. He there was lots
connection.
of intent. He got good purchase on it.
He timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
It was the timing was perfect.
So at that point, it's like, okay, they're gonna march on. Then Isak has something to say about that. Mr. Walker, what's going on?
To be fair, the ball from Bruno
was
really good. Like it's one of those ones where you don't have to do much in it, just run onto it and do the finish.
You know Bruno, sometimes I watch him and I think, I remember when he came, there was a little bit of consternation from other clubs fans, people that maybe a little bit higher than Newcastle. I know Arsenal fans had something to say. It wasn't that expensive. Why weren't we going for someone like that? At the time, we were looking for a midfielder, a few other clubs. I look at him and I think, no, regular Champions League club or bigger club's going to come for you. And other times I look at him like, nah, you are where you need to be. Like, what do you think? Do you think he's a little bit underrated, or he just hasn't caught the form that's got people talking about him?
No, I think he's really good. I think he could play for a regular Champions League team. I think it's just about the levels, isn't it? Like, he played in the midfield with Longstaff and Willock sometimes.
Why do you always do this?
I think that plays into kind of you raising your game and levels. And I think if he was in a team with an Odegaard and a Rice or a Partey, I think you would see a more consistent high level of him.
Okay,
I agree. I think he's a top player. But I think in Newcastle, I don't think he's playing his right position.
Okay.
I feel like he's playing a bit further back than what. So now he's getting involved in battles and doing all these mad tackles and stuff like that. But I feel like he'll show more technique. If he had a Rodri to do the 6, and then he could be more expansive. So I think Newcastle are not using him right at the moment. I think he can do what they ask him to do, but I don't think that's his best. I don't think that brings out his best attributes.
Okay. So you think if he went somewhere else, he would actually play more as an 8?
Or even if Newcastle made the right transfer moves, I think even in their team, I think he's got more to offer than the role that they're giving him at the moment.
Like, what's his name? Tonali.
Yeah.
But so he would have might have given him more freedom, or maybe they bought him to do more of that stuff. So yeah, but Isak, man, like again, he's another player. I remember when clubs were interested in him. His club wanted a lot of money at the time, right? I think they wanted 50, 60 million plus at the time. And his goal record wasn't great. But again, this way comes back to the stats thing, right? His goal record wasn't great, but people who had actually watched him play said, look, there's a player there. But, he was doing a lot and playing regularly first team at a very young age. Pay the money. No one wanted to, but Newcastle could because they had the money. And now I think they're reaping the benefits of that. A little bit injury prone, but...
Right, I think with Isak, and we're sitting here as Liverpool and Arsenal supporters and talk about chances that strikers don't take. He's shown in recent weeks, so Saturday against Liverpool just after Christmas, he doesn't need a lot of chances to score. In that Liverpool game, Newcastle weren't in the game. He had one chance, slotted it. Yesterday, one chance over the top, slotted it. And I think that's the difference of becoming a top striker.
Yeah.
Having fewer chances but taking them rather than having to take one or 5 or 6 big chances. And again, he might be someone you might look on to if Newcastle don't become that club that everyone kind of expected them to be. He might be someone that could clearly move on to a team that needs a finisher. And you can see, I would put him in that finisher bracket.
No, I definitely see him moving on to not just to Newcastle, but I definitely seen him move on to what we would call a regularly elite club, right? I'm not sure it'll be here, personally. I could see like an Italian club coming in for him or a Spanish club coming in for him or a German club, but yeah, I could definitely see him moving on. I don't think Newcastle's where he lands.
I'm not as high on him as you guys from what you're saying. I think his goal record is still a little bit questionable because if I look at his Newcastle career, I believe Callum Wilson has scored more goals since he's been there, since Isak's been there than Isak. I think he scored more goals than him. So,
well, who's played more though? I think if we do it in terms of ratio to who's played,
I think their records are similar. If Wilson's might be a little bit better. So with Isak, I think I still want a few more goals from him. I think he's doing well this season. Last season, I think he could have a bit more. But as I say, he's a good player. He's a good. There's no question his quality.
Yeah, I think looking at he scored 20 goals in 38 appearances for Newcastle.
That's not bad. Not bad at all.
That's 1 in 2.
Yeah, it's nothing to be sniffed at.
That's 1 in 2. And I suppose maybe Wilson's maybe because of he's got the penalties and stuff as well. That's obviously putting this a bit further up.
Yeah,
not a lot of games played in 18 months or 12 months.
2022 he joined, so yeah. He's had a lot of injuries. Yeah, I thought he would have
it's not 38.
Yeah, it's not a lot, is it?
When did he sign? He signed in the summer last year.
It was summer 2022. Yeah, because he scored at Anfield last season. Yeah.
Yeah, so he made 10.
That means he missed half the games.
He played 10 Premier League. No, he made 22 Premier League appearances last season, and he's made 16 this season. So that 38 is Prem appearances.
Oh, okay.
But he's got 24 goals in 50 appearances for.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad ratio.
1 in 2, that's what we can ask. I mean, my strikers don't do that. So, just saying. So yeah, he scores a beauty. He curls it into the far post. But at that point, Ederson had gone off injured. Do you know what happened? I saw it. It looked fairly knocked off. I don't know.
Yeah. Just ball over the top. Offside. Well offside. The flag stays down. They cross it in and there's a coming together between the goalkeeper, the defender and the striker.
So Longstaff actually scored in that moment of play, but it was flagged offside. But it was a late flag. So if the flag had gone up early, there would have been no injury because everyone would have stopped. But they say you got to keep going in case he's not offside.
The officials can't win on that because if the flag goes up and they stop the game and then we find out, he was actually onside, everyone's like, you put the flag up for him. And then if someone, they keep it down and someone gets injured, they say, why did you put it up? So the damn they do, damn they don't.
I think it was more Walker. Walker was the one who kind of impacted him a little bit more. But yeah, it was just an innocuous kind of coming together with 3 players.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not trying to say that Ederson would have saved it, but it's just one of those things. It enters in the mouth. But look, he's curled it around Walker into the side net. Fantastic finish. And then Gordon basically does the same thing.
Can we talk about Walker?
Yeah, go on.
Because I've got him at fault for both those goals. I think he made it very easy for both of them.
And I just feel
They
like
didn't really do much, and he's giving them an angle straight to the corner.
Yeah,
his form has really dropped.
A bit too
Obviously,
much respect.
he's got other stuff going on as well off the pitch.
Yep.
I don't know if that's affecting him, but even from England's point of view, the right backs, you got Walker in bad form. Trippier, we'll probably discuss later, was at fault for the final goal.
Mm-hmm.
So at the moment, it's looking like Trent's the man, really. That's what it's looking like.
Wan-Bissaka might find his phone's ringing soon, bro.
Yeah.
He might find his phone's ringing soon.
Let's see.
But yeah, no, I agree. It doesn't seem to be there was enough pressure. He just let them cut in and pick their spot way too easy. And I don't think Pep would be happy with that. But yeah, 2 good finishes, executed really well. You're at home, you're 2-1 up against City, and then Kevin De Bruyne comes on.
But can we talk before KDB comes on? Newcastle stopped playing. And I said this in a group chat, and everyone's like, "Well, Man City stopped them from playing." I was like, but even so, you've got to show a bit of kind of guile in what you're doing. And even before KDB came on, it was just wave after wave after wave after attack, and Newcastle were just punting the ball. And there were times when Isak wasn't even on the halfway line, so you're punting it and it's going straight to Ortega, who's now in goal, and he's on the edge of the centre circle in their half, and it's just like, I know you're playing City, I know it's going to be tough, but you've shown in the first half that you can get at them. The game plan just seemed diabolical, but KDB comes on.
And I guess the point being, even with all those waves, it still took, effectively 3 moments of ingenuity, 2 from KDB and 1 from Oscar Bob, to take advantage of all of that, right? You could argue, in the end they could have, but they didn't. And what do you think about that? Is there a naivety from fans when we look at someone like Eddie Howe and that team and say, we're 2-1 up at home, it's City, don't fold, try and get a third? Or do we just not understand that Man City are so good, you just got to try and ride out that result?
To your point, Keith, I think Newcastle done as much as they could. I think Man City, for me, were way the better team. The fact that Newcastle was 2-1 up was against the run of play.
And it was 2 individual moments of presence.
It was just 2 moments of quality, but the actual game was more Man City.
Yeah.
They got a couple breakaways and happened to get 2 goals. Otherwise, I think Man City win that game well easy. And Newcastle, if you look at how they've been performing, you're not going to expect much more than what they've done. I couldn't really fault them.
I hear that. And I know earlier in the season, Man City beat Bournemouth 5 or 6-1 or 0 or something like that. I can't remember that score. But I think looking at the second half yesterday, the first time this season, I thought, City are. This is City that everyone knows. I've said it here, innit? I've there's something about them that's not quite the same as previous. And yesterday was the first time I thought, I even messaged someone in another group. I was like, City going to score again. When it got to 2-2, I was like, they're going to get a winner. Because it was just one of those games. But can we talk about KDB's first goal?
Wait, but
is
before
is that the reason? That's what I'm saying. What you're talking about has a name.
because before, to your point, I think, let's keep it clear. It was 2-1 until the 74th minute. So it's not like they got back into this game quickly so for your point about waves, etc., Eddie Howe could argue, it was a good defensive display. But other than that... Yeah. No, look, I agree with you. From a simplicity point of view, I agree with you. What we've seen in the past is the people that you get away with it once in a very while of see it off it by defending very well. You nick a 0-0 or maybe a 1-0. But the people that have ever got anything out of City are the ones that have genuinely
gone at them,
got some luck. Let's have attacked them. But, try and solidify. Because then for all of your not doing that, you've lost anyway. You've lost anyway, right? So,
but one thing I will give Eddie a bit of a lie on is that he had nothing really on the bench as well.
That's what I was coming to say.
So if he had options, then I could maybe look at him a bit more. Because I'm not his biggest fan, you don't know, but I don't know what more he could have done to get a result. Because you've got to think about it. He's got...
I know Hall came on.
Yeah. And the rest of them are unknowns.
You want to know the rest of his bench? Paul Dummett, Jamal Lascelles, Matt Ritchie, Emil Kraft, I don't know who that is. Loris Karius, your guy. Mark Gillespie. Is that Keith Gillespie's son? Alex Murphy and Ben Parkinson. So, yeah.
But to be fair, other than the last three you mentioned, the previous 4 or 5 were a proven Premiership players. So I know they're not the best.
What's Matt Ritchie proven to you in the Prem?
He was like a regular ball. Like,
I'm joking.
I know when we say, it's a poor bench, we normally say it's because you've got a lot of youth on there. But I'm not saying they're the elite of the Prem players.
What are any of them players going to come on and do against City?
All right, I was going to say, it's a poor bench when who am I swapping you for? So I take off Anthony Gordon and put on Matt Ritchie.
Exactly.
There's a delta there. Yeah.
And you got to think he's really got an 18-year-old playing in midfield and that against Rodri and all them, man.
Joe Linton was out for like 6 weeks.
So yes, the goal. Like, Howie just says, right there, and I hadn't seen the game yet, so my friends explained to me perfectly, and he said, the way it looked like it was like, KDB's been playing football for so long, and he's so clever, he said, if I just roll the ball over there, keeper's not getting there in time.
Yeah, the only place he could have done it.
Yeah.
And like, he scored, I was like, that's a good goal, but then maybe like 5 or 10 seconds later, I was like, nah. He passed the ball into the net from 20 yards.
And he's done it a couple of times before.
Done it before.
It was, normally from 20 yards, it's normally like slapped in, fizzed.
Yeah.
He just went, just gracefully, just passed it into the net. And I was like, yeah, you can't stop that, innit? And like, Isaac has said, KDB's going to come back on smoke. And I was like, maybe not. You're getting a bit older. He's been out for 5 months. And he shut me up, man. Like, that cameo was brilliant.
It was poor defending, though. It was poor defending.
Oh, yeah. Like, they all backed off.
Yeah, and the guy that actually did come out, he went through his legs, but he didn't even... He sort of turned his back a little bit.
Yeah, which you're not supposed to do. And those are the small details, right?
Yeah.
And then Oscar Bob comes on, late 80s, I think 86 minute or 87 minute. And again, we've talked about him before. And I think when we talk about these elite coaches, they talk about the Peps and these guys, they don't bring on youth and that. But in my mind, they have to be there for some time. The people that cycle through from the previous academy, the previous generation, that when that coach wasn't in control or whatever, yes, there are some there that are good enough. You might pluck 1 or 2 of them, Phil Foden, Rico Lewis, whatever. But otherwise, you kind of almost got to let his philosophy wash through the cycle of that. So for him to put on, it's 2-2, and Pep's not a guy that plays for a draw. So for him to be putting on Oscar Bob at that time, he's telling us, now I've got faith in this guy that this guy can affect this game in the next 3 minutes plus injury time. I think that's a massive statement of support for the kid.
Yeah, it is.
And he was proven right.
And also, like, if you go back to Bob's finish, I don't know if you heard Pep's comments after the game, but he was like, in the final third with us, it's not tactics, it's personnel. So he's saying, like, I do what I do in the back third and the middle third. In the final third, you've got to have, it's up to the players that you've got out there to be the determining factor in it. And that's what it was, like the ball to Bob from KDB. Like, when you see the still of when KDB passes it to where Bob was, where Trippier was, you're like, there's no way this should end on a goal. But it was a perfect pass. I do think Trippier was on his heels a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Dubravka could have done a bit better. He came out with his feet rather than his hands.
Mate, his injury time, he's just seen penalty.
Yeah.
Dubravka's just seen penalty. Because if he sneezes on Bob, hold it. He's getting down.
Bob's feet were tremendous, man.
Yeah, three touches.
Yeah, it was perfect. Because I was thinking penalty with Trippier, because Trippier's tried to get the ball, but Bob's controlled it and stayed up as well. He could have went over Trippier, and he's shown that he wants to go, and then the finish was fantastic.
Yeah, and they spoke to Kevin De Bruyne pitch side afterwards, and of course everyone's talking about the pass, and Kevin De Bruyne was like, "Well, nah, it's his run. The run is fantastic. If it doesn't make that run, I can't make the pass."
And the touch as well. The touch to bring it down.
Yeah,
and not go over and get the goal. There's certain other strikers we won't mention that probably would have went over looking for a pen. But
no, it's true. And he was at pains to make sure that everyone understood. Yeah, the pass was. He's very humble, KDB. I'll say that. He's a humble
interview
guy.
was quite good actually.
Yeah,
after
but he was like, no. To be at that age, to come in at that time, and to execute, to do the run and then execute what you need to do to score at that time is fantastic. So, look, man, I'm always wary of hyping up youths before, but he's got a certain level of quality, man. Like Oscar Bob, he's got a certain level of quality, and if he doesn't show at Man City, we will see him showing it at a top level, I think, because he's
i.e. Carl Palmer, that sort of
exactly.
So on that, I was after Palmer scored on the weekend. I was thinking, if City didn't have Alvarez, could Palmer do his role as effectively what Alvarez is doing?
100%, especially in that team.
Yeah, I was like, I know why they brought him because like there's a lot of hype around Alvarez. Like I know Man United was sniffing around, etc. But just kind of looking at what he does in the team, like he's good and functional, but he's not like a standout in that City team. And I was just thinking, if you swapped him for Palmer tomorrow, I don't think you would see a major drop off or anything.
But that's now, right? So I guess when they bought Alvarez and where Palmer was in the development then, Alvarez was probably more first team ready than Palmer. He'd been playing men's football. I think in Argentina he was playing. So, you could argue this pre-season, Pep makes a call and, he's the more senior player. But in some ways as well, I kind of like that. You could say it's a privilege that they have. But I like the fact that Pep's like, if you want to go. Like, or actually, you know what? We don't need you. Go play football somewhere else. Because Palmer said he wasn't in his plans to leave. But at the same time, we don't need you, man. We're good. Bernardo Silva's here. Alvarez is here. And if I've made a mistake and actually gone to be better than Alvarez, that's fine.
And if you've got someone like Bob who can fill in one of those gaps,
Doku's here, we'll adapt the team, we'll swap it around. So yeah, I think it would have been interesting to see Palmer. And there might also be a point of balance as well, because he's got Silva left-footed. He's got Grealish. Grealish is not left-footed. But he might look at the balance of the team and be like, how often are you going to play to satisfy because you're not going to play ahead of Phil Foden. You're rarely going to play ahead of Bernardo Silva. So I'm doing you a favour. Palmer might look back and realise that now he's playing every week for Chelsea. They're not in a great shape, but even when Chelsea are in great shape, Cole Palmer will be playing every week. Yeah. Cole Palmer.
He's like a focal point right now, isn't he?
Yeah, but as an individual, he's in better shape. He's in a lot better shape because now he's getting in the England squad. People are talking about him. So even though Chelsea ain't doing as great.
And he's back in London, which I'm sure he's enjoying thoroughly. So we spent a lot of time talking about City or not the City that they were, blah, blah, blah. Should Liverpool be worried?
They should, but I think there were signs that if you get at City, you score goals. Like, I don't know the exact data, but I'm sure they've conceded more goals this season than they had at the same point last season and maybe the season before that. Like, they're shipping a lot of goals this season. So, as I said, I still, like, KDB will make a difference now that he's back, but I still think there's a bit of fragility defensively. Like, even Vardio, like, they paid 70 million for him. And he's kind of gone under the radar in terms of, like, people talking about worst signings of the season. He's got to be up there. Like, he's shown, granted, he's playing left back majority of the time.
Why would you buy him as a centre back and left back for the whole season?
They've never had a left back.
I'm Pep.
Yeah.
But then they got Ake who can play left back and he plays inside of him in centre back.
Yeah, I think that they got to shine a light on him at some point. Like, he might come good back into the season.
I was going to say, man, I always give people a bit of grace because even Diaz wasn't great when he first came. I always give people a little bit of grace, especially playing in that team. I think you play for Pep, you got two problems. You got to get used to the pace of the Prem and you got to digest
what he wants you to do.
What he wants you to do, where he wants you to do it, how he wants you to do it, the zones, all of that. Like, you hear players talk over the years many, many times about, Pep's very specific about what he wants, all of that stuff. So
where's Akanji? Is he injured? I'm not seeing him for a while.
He hasn't played for a while.
Yeah, he wasn't even on the bench. So yeah, I think he's out injured.
I think with City, what's the gap now? 2 points to Liverpool.
Yeah. So we played at present. We played the same amount of games,
and it's 2 points. The thing is where you probably want to be a little bit more ahead of him at this point. The thing is, when you get KDB and Haaland back together, I think that's when it's a different story.
And my question about Liverpool being worried is less about Liverpool being able to beat them. It's more about all the other teams that you kind of basically need to slow City down. You know, even if City are only 70% of last season City, they're beating most teams.
Yeah, they're beating the majority of the league.
So I think now it's a matter of you guys not slipping up. It's entirely a matter of you guys not slipping up at all. But saying that, you know, Villa on the same points as City, but you know, we're thinking forward trajectory now. Forward trajectory. So yeah, cool. Moving on to people have slightly different worries in the Premier League. Manchester United, Spurs. Game ended 2-2. Did you guys see any of this? I watched most of the first and early bits of the second half. Did you guys see any of this?
Yeah. I caught most of it until the last 10 minutes. I listened to it on the radio on the way here.
Give me your thoughts.
It was just topsy-turvy, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was very fast-paced, back and forth, and two words I would use is decision-making. And most of that applies to Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
Like, United had so many kind of quick breaks. And this isn't a new thing. I think this is something that's happened quite a lot over the season. Like, there was a period today in the first half where he was played in, and instead of like taking a shot on his left foot, he tried to cut back in. I was like, just shoot, like pull the trigger. And like you just noticed it over the last kind of few weeks where he just gets into the final third, and it's like you can see the cogs working. What shall I do?
Just the last few weeks? I think he's been like that for a long time.
Yeah.
Didn't he get a goal and assist today?
Yeah.
I think he got a goal and assist.
So that goal and assist.
An excellent goal.
It was
a fantastic
goal. It was a good goal, but that goal and assist is very reminiscent of when Bruno Fernandes was scoring lots of goals for United, but not having an effect on the game.
Stat pad too.
Yeah, like I think you've got to nowadays you've got to look at it in its totality, innit? Like you can pop up with a goal, but what's your general impact on the team over a period? I don't think Rashford has been that great.
And I think sorry, just before you go, and I think it's worth always, you know, when we're comparing players like Marcus Rashford and that, we're comparing them to their standard, to the level of game they've shown they can be. Not even what we expect it to be, the level they've shown they can be, and kind of what it needs to be for Man United. So that's why I asked if man watched the game, because I know one goal, one assist will look like you know, it was a fantastic game, but actually, you know, Tottenham were the better team in the first half. They controlled the game.
Oh.
Yeah, go on.
I thought they were a better team the whole game, to be fair. I think if they had their strikers, if they had Son there, Maddison, I think Tottenham win that game easily.
They had the ball, but they weren't penetrative enough, were they?
I think, used to about decision making, I think that applies to their forward line as well. Like people like Brennan Johnson, stuff like that, they're quite wasteful. But,
I think Johnson will come good. Maybe the price tag might be weighing on him a little bit. Werner was okay. Like, I know he got an assist, but he was... I think it will take him a while to kind of get... But forward line, they're pacey, innit? Like, Richarlison's no slouch, Johnson's fast, Werner's fast. If they can make that work in the absence of Son and Maddison, and even when they come back, he's trying to intertwine those kind of front five. It's not a bad front five for the Premiership, so it could work.
Kulusevski as well. He's been in good form.
He didn't play today.
Yeah, and I think to your point about being a bit sluggish up front, I think there was just certain moves when they got to the final third. I was like, quicker, and that's where Maddison, Son, Kulusevski, they just had that spark. But in saying that, they did cause problems, and even that point we were talking about where there was, he could have taken a left foot shot and he's cut in. Literally, the ball went to the other end. Timo Werner's got the same thing, and he hits the shot. His brain's in a totally different place. He doesn't hit target or cause the keeper problems, but he just executes what you're supposed to do in that kind of situation, or what it presents you. So I think you consider all the injuries they've got. I think Tottenham took the game to them well. You can see players doing things slightly differently, or maybe not doing things that they would be in positions we would ordinarily see them. So the run Bentancur's making for that goal, but that's normally someone else making that run, and he does well. He finishes well. might have to talk about the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I thought that as
yeah.
well. I was
Yeah.
like,
It was lots of
What
power.
did it do? Yeah, he just stood there.
it was, there was a power behind it, but he was like,
We've seen taller keepers get beaten from there.
yeah. Like,
We've seen taller keepers getting beaten from there. And I just think the whole kind of counter-attacking approach they did today was good, but from a Man United point of view. But if you're going to do that, when you get in these positions, you gotta execute. Poor goal to concede from the header, a Richarlison goal.
yeah.
Shocking defending. And I don't think it was particularly great defending for that goal. So I think Spurs, whilst they played better, they've come away from Old Trafford with a point, from it, either injury or international tournament ravaged squad. They could be happy with that result. Spurs, Man United, you're 2-1 up at some point.
And the goal was so early in the second half, innit? Like, you come out
46 minutes.
hold your stall, innit? Like, first 5 minutes.
From a Spurs point of view, though, a lot of people sort of think saying they're happy with the point, they should be happy with the point. I'm not sure. I think Spurs should have won that game. I think if they had complete control of the midfield. That's what surprised me, is that they had a lot of control of that game.
Wait. Spurs having control of the midfield surprised you?
At Old Trafford. Old Trafford, I'm not expecting Spurs to go to Old Trafford and control, especially with their main midfielders were missing as well. Basuma and Starr at AFCON.
Yeah,
so it's their sub midfielders. It's Højbjerg. I'm not expecting Højbjerg to run the game at Old Trafford. Skip was good though. Skip was good today. I was like, wow.
Man United at Old Trafford is not where it used to be. We've seen it all season. So no, I wasn't expecting Tottenham to run it, but I'm not surprised that they did. But to your point, they didn't make that many clear-cut chances. They weren't that penetrative. So yes, they had a lot of the ball, but if you look at the chances that they actually made, and they weren't that great. I don't think they were that great in the final third. I think they controlled a lot of the game.
Yeah.
But the final third, they didn't. If they were as good in the final third as they were in the midfield, then maybe we could say that. So, and that doesn't sound like the kind of manager that would outwardly say he's happy with a draw. If you take all that into account with the squad you've taken there, he couldn't even fill the bench. He had one less player on the bench.
That was Kulusevski because he went homesick. He was meant to be there. So normally you would have that extra player there in case you would normally.
And you look at who he had on the bench. So I think who can he change the game with? He had Brandon Austin. He had 4 youngsters on the bench, and then and a goalkeeper. So he really had 3 senior players that could come and influence the game.
And one of them with the new
and 2 of them are defenders.
Okay, yeah.
So I think he would be. He would lament the fact that they didn't create more, but but one thing we haven't touched on is Højlund and his finish and his
his finish was really good. And what I saw today, he looked less like the focal point of the attack. He was more kind of joined up. Where I think over the last few weeks, it's kind of been like get the ball to Rashford or Garnacho, and then feed Højlund, where he was kind of like not as high up as what he normally is, just more of an interlink play with those 3, which might be a bit more beneficial to him because it might take a bit of pressure off him to be like the goal scorer. And like I say, his assist for Rashford, I thought, I'm not sure if Rashford entirely meant to pass it to him. It
looked like it was meant to be a 1-2.
To get it back, but he done well to nip in front of the defender.
It looked like it was meant to be a 1-2. But the return just didn't work, innit? And he got lucky. And then, the finish was fantastic. That Rashford finish is something we haven't seen for a while. For a while. It was a really good finish. So the positives, I guess, for Man United is you didn't lose, and both your strikers have got on the score sheet today. Both got assists. And their confidence can kind of build from there. But they got so much to sort out. I mean,
did you hear what Sir Jim said about Carrington?
No.
Because obviously he'd been over like the last couple of weeks and he was there today. So he was like, "Oh, what do you think of Carrington?" And he went, "It would not be appropriate for me to answer."
Wow.
So
really?
it must be bad.
Is that bad?
But the thing is, I saw a video of like a Man United fan. I saw some video on YouTube. He won a competition to go to a training ground. Right? So he's gone there to meet Bruno. Bro, I'll be honest. When they showed that training ground, I said, "Is this the training ground that them not dissing? It might not be like London Colney or Spurs' new ground or what, no? The training ground. But that training ground is not decrepit, bro. It's massive. It looks
but I think
modernish.
Yeah.
So when they built it, that was probably the thing.
Yeah.
It's not an excuse, bro. I'm not even.
But I think they're doing it in comparison. So like Arsenal's training ground is relatively new. Tottenham,
Yeah.
Liverpool.
Well,
It's
if
like,
you buy a new one, it's going to be better than the other
but it's
old
like-
ones.
but it's like-
It's just like all the new stadiums are better than the old ones.
Yeah, I know, but
yeah.
it's like if Man United, they should be.
At the forefront of
They should
everything.
be
Yeah, they should be
constantly-
leaders.
Well, it depends.
Yeah.
Because those things go in cycles, right?
Yeah.
How old is Emirates now? 20 years?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
18 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what? That's going to be a old. What? It
Mm.
doesn't work like that. And I just think that was one of the was an easy, cheap thing to
Mm.
throw out there because they were one of the first clubs to build like a
Yeah.
proper
a
new
A
modern.
super
Yeah.
training ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was mad
Mm.
at the time. So that's not an excuse. You hear these footballers saying when Keane said that when he went to Celtic for training,
Oh,
they used
yeah.
to change at the
That's
stadium,
hilarious.
get in a car, go to training, finish training, get back in the car, go back to the stadium to
Yeah,
He said
I
that
didn't know that.
they were driving in their boots.
Yeah, driving in their boots.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's
He
mad.
couldn't believe it. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. Yeah.
So yeah,
Mm.
like if you're saying to me, okay, technology and all that stuff in there is now becoming a hindrance to elite performance,
Yeah.
fine. But look, I'm not an expert, but trust me, that doesn't look like a place that hinders
Mm.
elite performance. It's good enough. It's all right, mate. Like, that's
Yeah,
what-
I just found him. Just, yeah.
you know, and that there is the danger. You know, gonna come in and start focusing on the things that actually, in reality, don't matter.
Yeah, you can work on that in the background, innit? Like it's not a
Yeah.
forefront thing.
If you bought better players, that training ground wouldn't matter.
Yeah, it's true.
It wouldn't matter.
Mm.
So, you know, forget all about that. Anyway, 3 other scores to talk about in the Premiership on the weekend. Everton had a goalless draw with Villa at home. VAR ruling out a goal there for Villa. Was it Villa?
Yeah.
For Villa,
Yeah,
yeah.
for
Moreno.
Villa.
Bailey was offside, but apparently I'm not
Was it
sure. I
Bailey
didn't-
or Doug Suisse?
No, it was Bailey.
Bailey.
But
Dan Juma was on the floor and his boot was behind.
I'm not sure. I didn't see it, but apparently they took ages to show the lines or something. Like that.
Ages.
It was like 3 minutes or something like that.
It took ages.
I was
Like,
watching it.
yeah,
I was watching that and AFCON game at the same time. It took absolutely ages. And then obviously Dan Juma was protesting because he felt like he got fouled. He got let off.
No, I thought it was a foul though. The thing is, I was watching it, but I never had no comms, so I didn't
Yeah.
hear what they were saying.
Mm.
But I thought that the guy was holding him back from running up to pay offside.
It's one of them ones that's where on a replay you might give it, but in that sequence of play, I'm not even sure VAR would have given that.
Okay.
I'm not sure VAR would have said, "Oh, because of that foul,
Mm.
the goal shouldn't stand." So the fact that it was given off offside in the end, no?
Yeah, I think it's rule that
So
from
he got,
offside.
he
Yeah.
got lucky. Yeah,
Mm.
they got lucky. That goal should have stood, but I don't mind. It's a draw.
Yeah.
You know, they were getting a bit carried away with themselves. Chelsea won, Fulham 0. Cole Palmer penalty, pretty good penalty as well. Raheem Sterling won the penalty. I feel Sterling is gonna start getting a bit of a rep because
How he went down.
it was a pen. Don't get me wrong.
Mm.
But I look at him and I'm like, are you going to be the new Zaha? Ref's going to stop giving you the benefit of the doubt soon.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Burnley won, Luton won. Commentators curse. Pete came in a group saying Burnley have been terrible and then they scored them in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they were terrible. They didn't play well, to be fair.
Mm.
But the equaliser. So in real time, I was watching it and I thought soft, but they're gonna disallow the goal just because normally if you hit a goalkeeper in any kind of walk of life, they normally get the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, like, and even when Morris scored, he looked around and was like, "Rah, is he giving that?"
What happened though? For the people that didn't see
So
it?
basically, the ball was crossed in. Trafford, who had quite a good game, actually, he's come out to claim it. He hasn't jumped yet, but Adebayo has just kind of lent into him. So he's not really looking at the ball, kind of lent into Trafford, and Trafford's gone down. It's gone over both of them, and Morris has had like a free header into an empty net. So Adebayo's looked at the ref, Morris has looked at the ref, and they've like, oh, yeah, it scored. Like, and they kind of done like muted celebrations, kind of expecting it to be ruled out. The referee hasn't ruled it out. And then it's gone to VAR. And then when it goes to VAR, you think VAR are not going to allow this. Like if you go back to Alisson and I think it was it Rodri in the Man City game when his arm got kind of brushed.
Yeah.
It could have gone either way. Yeah, I just thought 9 times out of 10, they never.
But is that one of the ones where those of us, when we played football, who were not goalkeepers, these are the ones we've been wishing for a long time, where they stopped overprotecting goalkeepers? Or do you think it genuinely was a foul? Because I've not seen it.
It was a soft foul. I can understand why they haven't given it.
Yeah.
But I expected them not to give it.
Oh, so
You expected them to give it or not to give it?
I expected them not to give it. Like, I thought they were going to rule it out.
Oh,
But,
not to give the goal.
Yeah, not to give the goal, yeah.
I heard about it. I didn't watch it live. I heard about it. So I went and took a look. When I saw it, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't actually believe that they didn't give that. That's 100 times out of 100. I think that's a foul. Because, as you say, he wasn't even going for the ball. He's just stepped into the goalkeeper's path.
Yeah.
He's not even looking to challenge for the ball or anything. The goalie's gone down. We all say, it's a bit soft when the goalies get touched, but that's a foul every day of the week. I was shocked that they let that stand.
Yeah, and it comes back to like Company. Like he was earlier in the season, he's like, referee's got a hard decision to make when it comes to VAR, etc. And then I said it like, I don't want to keep going back to Liverpool point, but like, I was like, it's going to happen to everyone. This is the time to rally round. Whether it's happened to you yet or not, it's going to happen. And you're going to be up in arms with VAR. And he was apoplectic. Like, he was just like, in his post-match interview, he was just like, I don't know what to say. Like, this is ridiculous, rare.
Defenders
blah, blah, blah.
stopped. Even his defenders, about 2 or 3 of them, didn't even go for the ball. Yeah. They stopped as well. That's why Morris had a free header, because a couple of defenders stopped playing.
Play to the whistle.
Yeah. True.
But I think everyone would have thought they're not giving that as a goal. And they did.
No, I need to see this now, because we're going to have this convo one day, Daz. I need to get your view, on this overprotection of keepers point. Because it's one of those things that for the rest of the eternity of football, outfield players are always going to feel like keepers are overprotected.
Yeah.
And we've got ourselves in this position where we all know what's a foul on a keeper, whether we think it's right or wrong. So then, to your point, defenders have a certain level they expect. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, we're going to have to chat about it, because I think it's too much.
Yeah, I think the issue that you can't jump with a goalkeeper needs to be
I've got advantage. My arms are...
Because if you're jumping with another outfield player, it's just you're jumping with another outfield player.
Yeah.
And you jump with a goalkeeper, they've got an advantage because they can actually catch it. So if they can't catch it and take a bump, you shouldn't really be penalising the attacker for that. Like, it's... Like, I used to play in goal, innit? Like, I'd put my hand up. I was like, ref, you touch my arm.
And I don't know why. And it's almost like, why can't they be challenged using their advantage? So it's almost like the way the rules are now is, if you interfere with the goalkeeper using their advantage, going to catch the ball or whatever, it's a foul. But it's like, no, it's an advantage. I'm trying to even the. I'm trying to even out the thing.
Like, you
know what I mean? But yeah, one for another day.
But that could be crucial in the relegation battle come end of the season.
I was about to come to the table.
Or they both just go down. It don't make a difference.
So with the table as it stands, and like I said, we've got this like winter break where half of this round's fixtures are played this weekend, and then the other half are played next weekend. So half of the teams can go and do the warm weather training, or as
go to a certain restaurant and
your manager
you gotta eat food, aren't you? You're not gonna go hungry.
Well,
he definitely won't get hungry.
Your manager can go to a certain restaurant and be fed steak in a particular manner, or your defender can go and rub shoulders at fashion shows, and then next week the other teams can have their turn. But as it stands today, bottom 3 is Luton, Burnley, and Sheffield United. Sheffield United are gone. I mean, they got 9 points from 20 games, 3 points behind Burnley, and they're 7 points behind Luton. Everton are 1 point outside of the relegation zone, and they've played one more game than Luton. I have this feeling that they were pulling away from the relegation zone, but the table is not telling me that. Brentford are in the one place above them, 2 points, but they got 2 games in hand.
They're the ones to watch. Brentford, because they've been in really poor form, but they're just about to get Tony back, so maybe that will make a difference for them.
But they haven't got Wissa or Mbeumo. So let's see what happens.
And then looking to the top, Liverpool leading, Man City second, Villa third. Villa has played one more game than Liverpool, City, and Arsenal on 43 points. Then you got Arsenal in fourth place on 40 points, level on points with Tottenham after today's draw, and then West Ham sixth, Man United seventh.
What I found was quite interesting is that Chelsea were above Man United before Man United kicked off today.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which I found quite surprising.
Well, they're 1 point behind. So yeah, and you can imagine the fan narrative, right? If we end this season and Chelsea finish above Manchester United, I mean, social media, the fan banter is going to be explosive. Chelsea should not be finishing above.
Hold on.
For me, the story is where Newcastle are. That's the big story for me. I think that's well low. They're behind Chelsea and Man United.
Yeah, but on the form they've had, I mean, they've lost 10 games.
That's bad though. You're big.
That's a lot.
You came fourth last year.
Yeah.
And now you've lost.
What did I say?
But like I said, they got their seasons wrong. The season they're having now, they should have had last year. Because if they finished 10th last season, everyone would have been like, oh yeah, right.
Eddie would have got fired.
And then they should have been pushing for Champions League.
I think
he'd have got sacked. I'm with John. I think he'd have got sacked.
Nah, I don't think he would have.
No, I think so.
Eddie's gone. After you bought all that money, he sacked, finished 10th, he would have been out of there.
But I think he's gone this year if he finishes 10th.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, yeah. I think he's gone regardless. Like, I was saying in the last episode, like, I think he's shown now he can't compete when everyone's at their best. Last year, everyone wasn't at their best.
What? Hold on. But you contradict yourself a little bit because the players he's got. You said to us earlier, man, I play with Longstaff and co. So he could argue, well, when this squad gets to a certain shape with certain level of play, average level in it, then judge me.
But do you want him to be the guy to? Because if you look at his signings, they haven't been out. Like Isak's been good.
Yeah.
Bruno's been good. Trippier's worked out.
Botman.
With Botman his signing?
Botman. Yeah, Botman.
Okay, all right, give you what? But like, I'm gonna go back to the guy Dan. But you're signing Dan Burns.
Oh, but what is he with Dan Burns?
Nah, he's not a good player, man.
And Chris Wood.
Chris Wood.
Yeah. No, but Chris Wood went quickly, man.
But he got him in. That's saying.
Gordon.
Okay, I'll give you Gordon. Yeah,
I'll give you Gordon. But that's 5 players you've said that.
Yeah, but I don't think he's the guy.
He's introduced Lewis Miley to the team. That's worked out well.
Yeah, but his hand was fourth.
But he signed Tonali.
Yes,
that's a bad one though.
No. But and also, I don't think.
But that's not. It's not his job to do that due diligence.
Okay, yeah.
To be fair,
one, I don't think they're all his signings based on signings he's made.
Yeah,
like at Bournemouth, etc. And I just don't think he's the manager to kind of take you to the next elite.
Level,
when the rest of the Premier League are performing at their best.
I agree with you.
I think it'll be this season where they'd be like, "Thank you, but it's time for us to."
And there's certain clubs that ain't performing. You got the Chelseas and Man United that still ain't performing, and you're behind them.
And he's done well. Like he will go and get another Premier League job, like because even though he's spent money, he's done well with what's around him. And
so two things there for me. Then I agree with you. I've said it many times on this show. Like on this pod, you don't go from wherever you fall into back to your greatest heights with one or even two managers. A lot of clubs it takes them 3 or more, right? So, but I was just prodding there because obviously you made mention to the squad is weak in certain areas. So he could argue, well, FFP has hindered me. And then secondly, where else is he going to go? If he goes anywhere else, I think it's a step down in terms of situation. And the reason why I say that is he's not getting a job with any of the clubs that have big money to spend. He's not going to Man United.
No.
He's not going to Liverpool. He's not going to Arsenal. He's not going to City. He's not going to Spurs. So he would loathe to leave Newcastle now because he's going back to a project type job.
He's going back to like Brentford or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere where he's got to work with players and up. So if I think he needs to leave. It sounds obvious, but he needs to leave Newcastle in a bit of a Mark Hughes way, as in I've done well, whatever, but you were leaving anyway because you're not that guy. Not actually, cheers, mate. You did all right, but now you show me your true level. You're 10th or 11th. See you later. Just what I mean.
Yeah.
Like if Newcastle came 5th this season or something, and then they did a Mark Hughes to him, I said, all right, cool, but this guy's a real big cheese.
Yeah.
Then I think he lands somewhere where, okay, fine. You know,
because
maybe
been a bit consistent.
and maybe he goes abroad because, again, even of the next emerging teams, I don't see where he goes.
Yeah, but
Villa,
we said you might get England, didn't it? Like
No.
if Southgate leaves, you might get England.
He won't deserve that.
Actually, you know what?
But you
I shouldn't
say that.
but they imported Southgate.
But you say that, like, you never know, innit? Like, you look at Lee Carsley's under 21 manager. Like, no one would have thought Lee Carsley was going to win a Euros with England under 21s.
I'd rather give it to him than Eddie Howe.
Yeah, that'd be. Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I could see him going to somewhere like Crystal Palace because Roy ain't going to be there for that long.
Yeah.
But if you're Eddie Howe, I've just dealt with a team where my budget was X, Y, and Z. Do I want to go to Crystal Palace where it's the total opposite?
Well, you spent half your life at Bournemouth, so so you're like,
I've had a taste of the good
normal
life.
time then.
No, I've died in the top table, and I don't want to go back.
No, but it's a serious question. Okay, so look at Graham Potter now. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. And again, we can only infer. Not heard from him, but I could only imagine that he went from. We all know Graham Potter's trajectory, right? So he does Brighton, and he gets to Chelsea, and maybe it was too big a step for him at the time, but now there's only so far back down he's gonna go, bro.
Yeah, he's sort of turning his
depending
nose
on how
up
long
at some
it takes,
jobs.
right?
Yeah.
So if it takes
and
too
I
long,
suppose that Chelsea money's still coming in, so you're not in a hurry when
I think
you got that
Potter-
Chelsea money still
Like,
coming in.
Potter would be around the Crystal Palace kind of. Yeah, like I know you're saying. I know you're saying, right, I've been at the top table, and I've got a taste for it, but I think both were quite circumstantial, innit? Like, Todd Bowley just came in and done a madness at Chelsea. Bit early for him, I think. And then Eddie Howe, he was brought into Newcastle just to kind of steady the ship, not kind of elevate them to a certain level. So I just think they should know that they're, at the minute, their levels are mid-table Premier League
well,
teams.
Palace is not mid-table.
They could be. Like,
If I'm Graham Potter, how long's he been out? When did he get fired? Last year? 2023?
Yeah.
2022?
2022.
Late 2022?
Yeah, late 2022.
No.
He's been out for just over a year.
Yeah, late 2022.
Yeah, he wasn't there that long. He was only there about 3 months or something.
Yeah. If I'm Graham Potter, I'm not taking the Crystal Palace job, bro. Not right now. I'm waiting a little bit longer.
Remember, we spoke about the progression of the league, yeah? So you've really got like a big 7 or 8 teams now.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got like then you've got like the West Hams,
Aston Villas?
But they're kind of like in the big 8-ish, isn't it? So it's like, what? He's not getting those jobs.
Yeah, he's getting the Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace.
No, he's getting them.
Yeah.
He's getting those jobs. I'm saying, if I'm him right now, I'm not taking them. And the reason why.
What job are you taking then? Because you ain't getting nothing else.
No, but that's what I'm saying. So
I don't think he should be.
Let's separate
looking at
availability from the club, yeah? But this is just me personally. If I'm Greg Potter, the jobs I'm taking, Newcastle, yeah? West Ham,
yeah?
Villa. Let's not talk availability, yeah?
Tottenham.
Maybe, I'm going to kill myself for this one, I think. Maybe Fulham.
Fulham?
Wait, man, let me finish. You know the only reason I said those clubs? Because you can go there and you will have something to work with in terms of funds. We know, I don't care how good a coach, even Emery, who's a coach, they had to spend money to get him certain players so he could do what he's doing, right? He didn't go crazy, don't get me wrong, but you're spending more at those clubs than you're spending at Crystal Palace. I promise you.
But I'm comparing him to the job he done at Brighton. He didn't have funds at Brighton. Why could he not go to any of these clubs and do the jobs you done at Brighton? You weren't spending big money at Brighton.
I'm saying
that was me paying my dues, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying, Graham Potter now, you go to Wolves or you go to Palace now.
Yeah, I think he got to be looking at Wolves, Bournemouth, Fulham, Palace, Forest, Brentford.
Yeah.
No.
Like, if I don't get a call, those 5 teams.
If
I don't get a call in the summer, for that type of club, don't get me wrong, Tottenham job he's not getting. Obviously, Angie's not going anywhere for now. It looks like Emery's not going anywhere unless he gets poached by a big team, Spain, Italy, or something, right? West Ham, David Moyes, maybe
Newcastle could probably come up, but
but if you're Newcastle,
you're not going to get that job. That's what I'm saying. He ain't getting these jobs.
They're gonna go and rip someone out of Italy or somewhere. So if you don't call me by the time like pre-season and that starts, then the first managerial sacking next season, Like, if Roy leaves and they don't get me wrong, as a football fan, I would love someone like Potter to go to Palace, make them play a certain type of football, etc. Even though defensively, Potter's, tactics aren't the best, but it would be a little bit. It would be good for Palace to have someone who's going to be there and do that
somewhere like Palace.
I'm just looking at
do well at Palace.
I'm looking at it from Potter's point of view and his career trajectory. I don't think he makes that move until he has to. You got to try. I've been at Chelsea.
Yeah.
You got
I
to try.
think maybe if his stint at Chelsea was longer and you had more to go on what he'd done at Chelsea, I could be like, all right, maybe he can open the menu and look at the fancy side. Where now, I think he's just got to look at the advertisers.
So what you're saying is that you still see him as a Brighton manager, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because he didn't do nothing at Chelsea. Yeah. He hasn't done nothing to elevate himself above Brighton.
Nah, you make a good point. Yeah. I'm just thinking about it from...
Yeah. And we're not saying he's a bad manager.
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. You've gone to the big time.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
That's mad. So if end of the season, Eddie Howe gets moved on, the two probably big names, S gets fired, is Howe and Potter. If you're Eddie Howe, where do you go in the Premiership? West Ham? I think Eddie Howe, West Ham job is not too crazy a move, right? Otherwise, for me, you're going back to go forward.
Yeah. Even whoever takes over West Ham next, tough act to follow. Like I know Moyes isn't flavour of the month most of the times, but won the Conference League last season. They're in and around. They're sixth, aren't they?
They're up there. They're up there. They're doing well.
They top their Europa League group. Yeah. Like, if they don't give him a new contract, whoever goes in there is under pressure.
He's done a fantastic job, but the thing is, he's not wouldn't be as much pressure because a lot of the fans, they do want Moyes to be moved on. So they're going to be behind whoever this new guy is because they want that.
I don't know. If he finishes sixth and they get maybe a quarter-final, semi-final, final Europa League, why would they want him to leave?
Yeah, but this is the thing about fans, right? If you come in next season and you start playing Ange Ball, they'll love you. At the end of the season, they'll cuss you if you don't do as well, but they'll love you. And I think West Ham, for as long as I can remember, look at Harry. When Harry was there, they didn't pull up any trees, but they played a certain type of ball with Joe Cole and all of them like that. And the fans loved it. The fans loved it. So with the players they've bought, and to be fair to David Moyes, I said last season, look, he's done a great job, but we've got this thing in football, you have to be doing bad before you get moved on. And then Bournemouth did exactly what I said. Everyone was cussing. They're doing better now. Way better. They're 12th now, 25 points. They're what? I mean, they're only 9 points above the relegation zone, but in that part of the table, 9 points is a lot of points, right? So, yeah, if West Ham are thinking, okay, how do we join the arms race or that big race with limited resources, they're going to look at what Aston Villa did, bro. They're going to look at that and say, can we get someone who's
got a pedigree in Europe?
Just that next level, above. Like,
and they can afford to pay well. Like the Premier League, that's where the money's at, innit? Like, under no other circumstances would you find a manager leaving an established European club to go to
Everton. Look at Ancelotti.
Ancelotti.
The fact that you get Ancelotti to Everton. So, I can't name you all the managers in like the Italian league, whatever, but right now, tactically, when you hear of managers trying to do things differently or whatever, a lot of them are in Italy. You got Fonseca, he's in Lille in Paris, right? He's gonna Lille in France, sorry, not Paris. He's gonna be on Premiership clubs' radar. I won't be surprised if one of these jobs comes up, West Ham or Newcastle will probably go for a blockbuster man next, but Fonseca's coming to the Premier League soon, or he's going to Italy soon. He's not going to be in France long.
Because I kind of see West Ham on the same sort of level as Aston Villa already.
I agree.
In terms of stature and squad, I'll say maybe Aston Villa's got a couple better players, but if you brought in a striker, and I think West Ham, they get 60,000. They spend money. They got money.
Exactly.
They got money, so they got their potential.
Yeah. So and if you're Emery, it's gonna take a serious situation for you to leave. But that's my point. And if you look at the football they play, you would argue that tactically it's probably a level above consistently. We'll judge at the end of the season. We're 20 games in, but the fans think that they could play more attractive football with a different manager. So that could be the argument. But right now, you're right, Keith. David Moyes is saying, well, actually, I tried to do something else. Didn't work.
Mm.
I was good enough to change back. It's now working.
Yeah.
He's brought people like Kudus, etc. in, and that's worked. And that whatever happened with him and the director of football, that's been ironed out.
Another great
Paqueta,
signing.
yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting one to watch. But yeah, I'm always intrigued by this the career moves of managers, because I think it's a little bit different with players. You can maybe drop down, quote unquote, but the important thing with players, you have to be playing. You got to play every week, and then anything can happen in your football career. But with the manager one, I always find interesting, like, whilst you're in that top bit, stay there long enough to your point. I mean, look at Poch. He did well at Tottenham, but as one of my brethren in the football groups, always quick to point out, didn't win anything. Didn't win anything. He did lots of good things on paper, but he didn't win anything. But he managed to give himself this level of status.
Yeah.
Because he was at Spurs long enough and did good things regularly enough to have that status. And I think that's maybe what Potter hasn't done yet. So yeah. Interesting. All right, cool. Moving on now to the African Cup of Nations. Couple of early games. Ivory Coast beat Guinea-Bissau 2-0. Nigeria frustratingly drew 1-1 with Equatorial Guinea. Victor Osimhen, the striker that every club's fans want for whatever hundreds of millions is going to cost. He didn't give the best account of himself today. Missed a lot of...
Scored though, didn't he?
He scored, but if you watch the game, bro, the chances he missed, we should...
I saw one-on-one. He put wide. I saw.
Nigeria shouldn't be drawing that game. But hey-ho. Other results today. Egypt drew 2-2 with Mozambique. Egypt required a 97th minute penalty from Salah himself.
I was quite annoyed he scored, to be fair. Get home soon.
Look at you, disrespecting competition.
No, I'm not disrespecting the competition.
Rude.
Nothing to do about the competition.
No, wasn't there. How comes every other single player had to go and he didn't?
Bruv.
He got special dispensation from the Cameroonian FA to play.
Basically,
he's missing their game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Their first. How can they do that?
He asked to stay.
But ain't he already on slippery slope with them from last time?
I don't know. And the thing is, like, with international tournaments, you're meant to be released, like... I mean,
2 weeks before. I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah, so...
Well, you're meant to be released 2 weeks before unless your FA agrees. So apparently, he asked, look, can he stay, play this game? You know, it's important to the team or whatever.
They should have lost. Man.
And I'm just like...
They shouldn't have done that.
I agree.
But to be fair, it might be...
telling the rest of the squad, he's a bit more important than you. He can come whenever he wants.
And it adds to the overall narrative about AFCON, because
that wouldn't happen.
That would happen if it was anything else.
But I don't know.
We don't see South American players.
He's actually going to miss the first game of the tournament.
Yeah.
I'll understand if Cameroon's first game was in like 2-3 days' time.
I agree.
But now he's missing their first game.
Yeah.
That's madness.
And it's mad. Mo Salah's not hanging around.
Yeah.
Son's not hanging around.
Yeah.
That's mad.
Everyone else has gone.
And not to be dread, bro. Like, you're not exactly lighting up the place.
Exactly.
So I think, all that stuff there, it don't sit well with me.
Yeah, that was bad. That's bad. I can't believe they agreed.
But obviously, he's had a conversation with whoever at the Cameroonian FA, and they've come to an agreement. I don't want to be cynical. Might be financial in it from Man United to them.
Oh, what you think they've compensated the Cameroonian FA?
Yeah,
probably. Who's their manager? Is it still Riobek Song?
I'm not sure, to be honest.
Because that's who sent him home last time, isn't it? when he didn't want to play his tactics.
Really?
It'll be interesting with Ghana and Chris Hughton. Because remember, he took over as manager.
I'll tell you what, mate. Have you ever watched a Chris Hughton team before? It'll be nothing but interesting. It'll be everything but interesting.
No, but because he was like, he came in as like a technical director or something, didn't he? And now he's actually leading them.
Yeah. Look, I've got a lot of time for Chris Hughton, but he doesn't play my brand of football. I'm not gonna lie.
He wasn't awful at Brighton. Because to be fair, even when he got sacked from Brighton, people were like,
it's the Newcastle one that paid me.
He didn't deserve the sack.
It was the Newcastle one that paid me. When he got fired in Newcastle, I said, that's the one that paid me. And that was blatantly, you're not a big enough name.
Yeah.
That's the one that paid me. Yeah. So I think those are the 3 results so far. And Ghana are playing as we record. And they are losing 1-0. Fantastic.
Who too?
That's what I like to see, to Cape Verde. So,
what is going on?
I'll wait until the end before
because they got knocked out of group stages last tournament, didn't they?
Of course they did. Of course they did, mate. Yeah. And let me not even start, I don't want
If my friend started, I'm top for them.
What?
Are you?
Oh. Listen, both brothers are in the squad.
Serious?
Come on, bruv. They're not serious people. Anyway,
No, but
Yeah,
Jordan's
I'm not
decent,
even going to get to it.
Jordan's decent though.
what do you mean?
But how long can they be your mainstay attackers? That's my
but
issue.
Who else have you got?
You got to blood someone in, man. There's
Hey.
a wealth of talent in that nation,
You
man.
see when Keith don't like someone?
Yeah.
Oh my
No,
days. You
Jordan's a
see
good
Jordan
player.
Ayew and that bird. If you buck any of them on road, I feel for you, you know.
Nah, man. As I say,
But man's a
I'm judging.
regular Prem starter. Like, he's a good player.
I'm judging you among
Hey.
your peers, innit?
I tell you what,
I can't hold a candle to them, man. I say it.
Mm.
I'm judging you among your peers and your peers only.
I tell you what though, when it comes to stat padding, that is a fantastic stat pad. Jordan Ayew, you can say I'm a regular Prem starter.
Yeah.
Bro, look what you're...
He's regular.
But you know what? Respect to him. He's got
Yeah,
the Prem
man.
career, and
Established, yeah.
I still think it's nuts. But hey, but yeah, keep listening. Every time you listen, he scores, innit? So
Yeah, he'll bag a winner later.
yeah, exactly that. Right. So let's get to a couple of the other talking points. So, Mr. Deeny, Troy Deeney has been so he's been doing a bit of content since, you know, of late, since he left what I would call the higher end of the professional game, right? And what I didn't realize is when he was doing all those podcasts with Jermaine Defoe and all that stuff, if you haven't seen them, effectively Jermaine Defoe and Troy Deeney have got a strikers podcast where they talk about the different elements of the position and how they see things in their career. I didn't realize he was still playing.
Yeah.
Because he was
Yeah.
at Forest Green Rovers.
Yeah, so he went down there as a player coach.
Okay,
that's the
okay.
contract he signed when he went down there.
Was he at Birmingham at one
He
point?
was for a bit last season, yeah. So let me rephrase it. I didn't know he was still active like that, like still everyday. Because again, you're sharing certain views and stuff, but then you're going to working with certain players. So that in itself can go both ways, right? And anyway, so that, stirred some conversation at the time. He made some comments about the difference between him and Harry Kane and where he felt he shared strengths
Back yourself, innit?
with Harry Kane. Man, I'm not saying nothing. Terrell's not here to share his views on Mr. Deeny and his assessment of himself. But he is now Forest Gate manager, right? He got made Forest Gate manager on the 20th of December. They haven't won in 5, and they're yet to win with Deeny as manager. So after a 2-0 loss to Harrogate, I think the game was yesterday or today? Yesterday, as in Saturday, the 13th of Jan. And there's a particular player whose performance he wasn't happy with.
Singled out might be the...
Yep. Fankati Darbo, who some of you may remember as the player who missed the penalty kick for Coventry to go up.
Yes.
So
Was that against Luton?
yes, which is relevant because after the 2-0 loss, Troy Deeney's been quite open about player shortcomings, and he mentioned Darbo specifically. So the report says to him, you said Darbo wasn't good enough today, and before the report could finish, that's a good question. He said today, and I quote, "He's not been good enough for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks now. Why do you think he was dropped at the start? I've told him in front of everyone that 6 months ago he had a kick to go to the Premier League. Now you wouldn't even get a game in the National League." Now this has caused some debate amongst the fans, in the WhatsApp groups and on Twitter, etc. in the last day or so. And it's a regular thing where should managers be calling out players in the media, in public, etc. My 2 pence on this is this, yeah. As the manager, I think it's your job to get the players to perform, right? It's your job to get the players to perform, to execute what you want to execute. And if they can't, then they shouldn't make your team, etc. And that comes in many forms, right? So whatever you have to say to the player to his face on training, that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that he can't say this. My thing is, I don't think this needs to be said in the media. I don't think that public element of it needs to be said to the player's face. Of course, bro, you've been crap for 9 weeks. I even think that's light. I don't think that's what he said to Darbo. I think he probably said something worse than that. And that's fine. He should be able to take it, because if he was banging in goals every week or doing what he's supposed to be doing, I'm sure, I don't know him, but I'm sure Deeny would have been just as complimentary the other way. But when you're and I'm not doing it justice by reading it. I promise you. You listen
Yeah,
to
you need
listen
to go
to
and
the,
watch it.
Yeah, listen to it.
I think it's excessive, and I'm not sure it's gonna get the desired response from Darboe that he wants. Because again, you're at Forest Green Rovers, like you know, you haven't got a war chest, so you know, and other players are watching that. You don't want it to backfire. So, Daz, where do you stand on this?
When I heard about it, I was like, wow. And then I actually went and listened to it. And the thing is, all right, managers always come out, protect players and stuff like that. And you know that's not what they're really feeling or what they're really thinking. So isn't it a bit refreshing that someone has come out and been honest and actually answered the question and displayed exactly how they feel? Maybe this is him being a bit naive, and obviously in terms of management, he's very new to the job. So to him, as he gets more experience in this role, maybe he will change. But at the moment, he's just come out with these raw feelings, and I don't think we should knock him for it. We can have a laughing joking about it, but at the end of the day, he's just answered the question truthfully.
No, but he can be criticised though. So to your point, I think maybe it's early job, early career mistakes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's definitely wrong because these things can go both ways. I just think it's a risk, and more often than not, from what we hear from footballers themselves, people have been in the game, more often than not, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Especially unless you're a manager of some stature, and even then that doesn't work. As Ten Hag is finding out now, he's done it twice and it didn't work, right? So it might be refreshing for us from an entertainment value point of view. I'm just simply looking at how does this actually help with your job on the pitch, all of that stuff, which is why other managers don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
And I suppose it's the levels as well. You got to take into consideration is that it's a lower level, like a Prem manager coming out and dissing a player like that is making world news. Is at that sort of level. If it wasn't Troy Deeney, would we even know about it?
True, but he is Troy Deeney, and he needs to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, true. Kate, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, my whole stance is I don't see a major issue with it as long as he had the conversation with the player first. Like, and he said I've spoken to him and said XYZ.
I said it to him in front of everybody.
Yeah.
That's good. That means all the players know as
so,
well.
Yeah, like, I'm a bit like with Daz, man. Like, it's a bit refreshing to get an honest, and like we all like that stuff, innit? Like, we hear it, be like, oh yeah, it's good.
What's good?
It's good that we kind of get a behind the scenes, like stuff that we don't see normally in the media,
entertainment wise. But what is it? Is it good for?
Only time will tell. My only gripe is that he's kind of done a media tour where he's criticised managers for acting in a certain way. So based on what he's come out and said in the media, and had, I wouldn't say he had a lack of respect for certain managers, but when he's spoken about certain people, you can see he doesn't have an affection for them. And when he got appointed Forest Green manager, we were like, what kind of manager is he going to be based on how he's kind of been on the media circuit? And it seems like he kind of hasn't kind of taken his own kind of, what's the word I'm looking
direction.
for? Yeah, direction in terms of
advice.
Yeah, in terms of how he's been criticised by certain managers. He might have gone the other way where he just kind of just followed these. So this guy might be on a podcast in 10 years talking about what kind of manager Troy Deeney was.
Yeah, maybe. I just think, and also, look, Daz, you got a couple of points there as in, if it wasn't Troy Deeney, we wouldn't know about it. And also, I think he's viewed in a certain way, like he's a little bit egotistical or whatever because of all that stuff that happened previously with his podcast and then, the Harry Kane comments went viral, etc. So I think the starting point with Deeny, that definitely influences how a lot of this comes over. But yeah, at that level, he's going to be a big name. He's played in the Premiership for he played 150 games in the Premiership or something. Yeah. That's not to be sniffed at.
But obviously, the owner of Forest Green would have seen something in the coaching side to give him the appointment. Like, it might have been a tokenist appointment.
Yeah, but he might not be qualified to even judge what's good or not on the coaching side.
But like, the Forest Green have come from like non-league to an established league team. I know they're on the fringe of potentially going back down. So I thought you got to kind of give him a little bit of credit of like, know who to appoint. So he might have seen something in Deeny to be like, he's the guy that could just kind of steady the ship and not get us relegated this year. But Yeah, it's not win a game.
So are we saying the players are the only people that we're worried about could have a problem with this? As in, if you was Deeney's boss, would you have a problem with him coming out and saying this?
The only reason I would say I didn't think about that is because his character is relatively well known. So none of this surprises me.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 100%.
So, but I'm still like, I didn't expect you to go that far, right? So there's probably an element of, and if you're the chairman, to Keith's point, I've dealt with loads of managers. This is your first managerial job. So I wouldn't be surprised if the chairman's thinking, do I pick up the phone and be like, listen, that's not how I want things to pattern here. Or he knows Troy Deeney well enough to know that actually even that phone call is going to be Troy Deeney to him, what, you tell him how to do my job? And if I'm not ready to now fire another manager less than 30 days after I appointed him, you might let that one play out and maybe hear what the sentiment is from the dressing room and all of that.
Yeah.
I think fans are going to love it. I
agree with that.
I think fans at that level going to watch their team every week. They're bottom of the league, so the performance has kind of been great. They all, I can imagine the LBC and the Talk Sport and all that tomorrow is going to be, the players 2 days are too soft and all that rubbish. Despite the fact that no one is saying that he shouldn't say it to the player. No one is saying that. We're saying shouldn't be saying that in the media. That's my view anyway, this far. But yeah, I think the manager, I think the chairman, I don't know much about the chairman, but if I was him, I'm just let's just see how they react to it, right?
And if you was the player coming in for training tomorrow, would you feel like, no, I'm out, I don't like this manager, I'm down in tools? Or are you coming in tomorrow thinking, I'm going to show him, I'm going to try double hard now and prove him wrong?
I don't even think it's a thing to prove to Deeny. I think you've got to prove it to everyone else now because the spotlight's on him. Rightly or wrongly, Deeney's called him out. If he goes on and doesn't score for like another 10 games, everyone's going to be like, oh yeah, Troy was right. But if he turns it around, he can be like, yeah, I was on the verge of going to the Premiership. Like that's the kind of level of player that I am. So I think you might just go in and not just to prove it to Troy, but to everyone else, kind of thing.
But that's where for me it can be counterproductive. Well, let me ask you a question first. Firstly, I've called my agent already. Because
what?
Because your reaction is only as good as your options, bro. If your agent's like, listen, I'm not gonna lie, the only calls I'm getting is from outside of the league. So if you want to stay in the league, you better chin it and hope he gets fired or you lot turn it around or we can set up a meeting, whatever. Or you go down to the National League, bang up there and come back. But if he says, actually, you know what? We can talk, you can still stay in the league because it's January, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
So unless he already knows he's going to get someone in to replace this guy or not, I don't know. As far as I understand, they're not Wrexham, they're not flush with cash. So, but I know me. Yeah? If that's happened, I've called in my agent and then I'm not going to lie, I'm going back to training and I'm keeping it calm. Okay, because there's only, I think either both of them lose or one of them wins. Both of them can't win.
But they both can win because if he uses that as fuel and motivation and then his form improves, then he's better himself as a player and obviously Deeney's going to be happy because the team's going to be doing better as well. So that's how they both win.
I think if he does start scoring goals and all that, he leaves.
Yeah. But he showed...
Because you've disrespected me, bruv.
And he showed you the
But
Champions
then
League.
still both won then because then he gets a
the
good
team gets
move
goals,
and first screen stay up.
I just think that's the most unlikely scenario.
Do you think it only goes that?
I think either
negative,
they
more
both
negative
lose
than
or
that?
one of them wins. And right now, as I'm sitting, I think Troy Deeney wins. Because you either gets another player in or my man starts playing well and he says, that was the whole point. We're cool kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Deeny gets sacked. The way he wins is Deeny gets fired, another manager comes in and he starts playing well. But I don't think Deeny gets fired.
The only thing I had a problem with is that he said the guy's not playing the next game already. That's one thing I did like because he said that. So what motivation do I have to come in and train the next 2-3 days to the highest level? I know I'm not starting the next game no matter what I do. That's the only thing I didn't like is that he told you already he ain't playing the next game.
And listen, we've seen lots of those type of old school hard guy managers. But even Neil Warnock hasn't come out and done this.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? People like that, we've not even had that. Even people like Jose, we've had Jose call out players
but not like this. Jose's never come out and told us what he's told a player and told us, I said this to man in the dressing room. They've never done that.
To be fair, what he said about Luke Shaw wasn't great.
Oh, that was awful, yeah.
What did he say about Luke Shaw?
He's like, I have to play for him or use it.
No,
great.
I have to come on the sideline.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying Jose hasn't called out people before, but I don't know, man. This is different. And again, it's not right, but at the end of the day, one of them is a multi-Champions League, multi-league winning, multi-cup winning manager. The other one has been a manager for 20-something days. For 24 days, but I might watch it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting how this plays out, yeah.
But it was kind of put to him, should he really be saying this sort of thing? And his answer was, well, they're coming for me sort of thing, so I'm going to say whatever
Even
I
worse.
want to say. Yeah,
Who's coming for him?
But I think he's about like the fans and stuff, like
Yeah.
people saying that
Even worse, because that's part of
he
your
said
job.
people are coming for me.
But
so-
you know he likes
Yeah.
to be the pantomime villain.
Yeah, he does.
Like,
love that,
he plays up to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Loves it.
which is
Loves it.
fair
I think
enough,
it's deflection. Because again, it's the same thing I said about Ten Hag. You just lost a game to Arsenal that Sancho wasn't playing in,
And you mentioned
but you know
Yeah.
that's what's going to cause a headline, so you've done that. I think it's deflection. Because that Darbo guy can't be to blame as to why you've not won any games since you got there. He could be one of the reasons.
yeah, but not the reason.
You must also be part of the reason as well. He didn't take any accountability there.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't come out and say, I need to be better. I need to do things. Yeah.
He even said, he said in another interview, he said, I want to say sorry to the fan base, but I'm not really a sorry type of guy. I'm a find a solution type of guy. So in one breath you said something, and the next breath you said, I don't really mean it. So yeah. It's going to be interesting to see Troy Deeney's managerial career unfold. And then to the sort of the other story that's been doing around, Jaden Sancho, loaned to Borussia Dortmund. And what I find interesting about this year, and I might be reading too much into this, is the way Dortmund have documented his return, right? They've documented his return very much in a, look how happy he is to be here. You know, he's coming straight back in. Where do you want to sit in the dressing room? You know, all of this. Gave him the number 10. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're doing that to spite Man United. I think they're doing it to kind of show that we're not crazy for doing this deal. Like, we know what we're doing. He actually loves this environment. He'll perform here.
Yeah.
But I just thought we've had months of silence. Ten Hag don't want to speak about him. The club, we've read, how the club have been treating him like rubbish, basically making him train with the kids and all that stuff. And then he gets to this loan, he gets given an important shirt number. The team welcome him back with open arms. This is the guy that we were reading quotes about how Dortmund said he's had disciplinary problems or whatever. Okay, well, if they had, why do they want him back? And two, why do the players, have such great affection? You can't fake that stuff, right? Marco Reus is, one of their legendary players. He's going to go down as a Dortmund legend.
Practically ran up to him in the changing room when he came in.
Yeah, it's like you don't fake that stuff. So
I don't know, but it might be a little bit of spin just because.
That stuff you can't fake though. Players reaction.
No, not that.
Yeah.
But like the Dortmund owner, chairman, or whatever came out and was like, we've never had any disciplinary issues with Jaden, so we're not sure where that came from.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, Ralph Rangnick came out and was like, I really don't understand where this narrative is coming from. When I was there, he was fine. There was no issues.
Even sorry, that was someone else. Go on.
And obviously, you get all the media videos that have gone out. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Like I stand with Jaden. In the whole
so
situation.
you think that they're just reinforcing that he was never had a problem here?
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Like,
So you're thinking Ten Hag is sort of,
like they've tried to paint a picture of Jaden that we know is not true, and whatever's gone on is not solely because of Jaden.
And it's a slight masterstroke, right? Because I want you to perform the best you can when you come and learn to me, innit? So I want you to like nice, feel loved, all of that. So I think, and we know the world that these guys live in now. So yeah, that makes a point. And then he comes on and he grabs an assist. Now, don't get me wrong. It wasn't the most difficult assist.
No.
I think all of us in this.
Only had a little bit of room.
Yeah. And I'm not going to diminish him. He made the round, the ball at him was nice. He did all the things we know he can do. But facts are the facts. And he's already got more DNA than Andy this season. So the narratives were narrative. What do you think? What do you think, Daz?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him. Like, I think a lot of stuff that went on at United was probably they probably overhyped it. They probably, especially Ten Hag, he come out and said, I just think he just didn't fancy him. I think it was just personality clash.
Yeah.
And he just didn't want to know him anymore. So I'm glad he's got his move. He needed it.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can push on from here. I don't see him going back to Man United by Ten Hag's there. So
I agree.
he needs to get a move and put himself in the shop window.
Or just
Wait.
all out, wait till the end of the season, and he might come back to a new manager. So,
I agree.
At Man United. So.
Yeah.
I agree. And do you think people are reaching a bit when it comes to the whole, look at how other players have reacted to him getting his move? Look at how Dortmund have received him, etc. Lots of people are saying this is giving us a little bit of indication where actually Man United may not have played this as well as they should have, right? Or do you just think actually pros are going to support each other?
Yeah.
They're just happy for their friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, brethren's. Like, I think the only thing you got to kind of be mindful of is people saying like he's back at his level, innit? And I don't buy into that. Like,
No.
You've seen
I don't think he buys into that himself.
Yeah, you've seen at international level, like he can cope with stand with like the top players. Like either he might go back to Dortmund and he might have a fruitful career there. He might come back to Man United under another manager, have a career there, or find another club. But I think this has worked out best for all parties.
I don't think this has worked out good for Man United.
Just in terms of him not being there. So like they can't be beaten with you're leaving to rock kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's
my
Moyes level though. I would say it's Moyes level.
You think?
Yeah, I would say.
I don't.
I would say I've never seen him do anything at the top level.
I
he did it in the Champions League, bro.
Yeah,
he did it in the Champions League.
Champions League. You see him play well
for Dortmund.
Yeah. But who can you do it for? You've got to do it for someone, innit? Like,
I didn't see him do nothing at Man United or England. I've seen him
he played well for England.
He's played all right for England.
And
he's played well for England.
Lost his place in
to who?
England. To everyone.
Saka, Grealish.
Yes, you name him. Sterling.
To Saka and Grealish.
Foden.
No shame.
Everyone.
But that's like
that doesn't mean he's not top level though.
But I think if you go back to when
It just means he's not as good as them.
And they're top level.
Yeah,
but it's not binary. It's like you can still be top level, just not as good as someone else.
Okay,
Do you know what I mean?
Normally, I think he moved to Man United at the wrong time. Like the summer he went to Man United, they paid 70-odd million for him, and they didn't need him at that time that they signed him. They should have.
No, they needed a right-sided
I
forward.
don't think they did.
They did.
They should have addressed their centre midfield issue before, and I think he should have come a season after when they had that midfield.
I think
sorted out. I just think he moved at the wrong time.
I think he just went into a wrong situation. That's me. But
Yeah.
I think if he goes anywhere else, if he goes Liverpool, Arsenal, I think Arsenal would have had different problems. But from that side of the structure and the manager, I just think he went to the wrong situation. And then Ten Hag has got this whole disciplinarian thing, which worked for him at Ajax. Again, no disrespect to those players, but all of those players, young, early on in their career, etc. You come to Man United, where it's different. You know, players are a little bit further on. You're relatively not no one to them, but you've come from Eredivisie. Yeah, you worked for Pep and all that, but we got players here who have played games and done things you've not even done in your managerial career, and I think he hasn't adapted to that well. We saw that with Cristiano Ronaldo, right? And I think two things can be true. I'm not saying Sancho didn't have disciplinary issues, but I just don't think Ten Hag dealt with that in the best way that helped him or the club. Because then the problem is now the people you were picking ahead of him. Because Sancho's frustration was, I haven't been great, but other people haven't been great, but they're still getting more chances. And I'm not getting chances. So the people you're giving more chances to, they're not repaying back those chances.
Yeah.
They're not.
And they're getting those chances because you worked with them before. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're doing hardball with me, and then other people have off-the-field problems that are way more serious than mine. I'm late to training than that. Man, them have got criminal situations going on. They're still playing. So, I think Ten Hag is showing his inexperience. And if you remember, early days of even before the pod, I used to talk about that. Like, look, I'm not saying that he should know better. I'm just calling as it is. There's certain things he's doing where his inexperience is showing, but it's fine. He's 1 or 2 years into his managerial thing, but don't ignore it just because you like the guy. That's what I'm saying. Just call it out. And I think this is one of those in Ten Hag. I think this is the biggest job he's ever had. To go from Ajax to Man United is a massive jump.
Yeah.
Absolutely massive jump. But people don't want to talk about it or call it out. It's always one or the other these days. It can never be a combination of things. It's madness. But yeah, hopefully he lights it up there.
Yeah.
And I don't want Ten Hag to leave. I want the downfall of Man United to continue exponentially. But it's not going to happen. Ratcliffe is here. I've put a lot of money into the club. I'm going to want to make my stamp. And I don't think Ten Hag has done enough to make Ratcliffe think that you're the guy to help my investment or now I'm in control to take the club forward. I think he'll last at the end of the season, but unless he does a madness, goes 10-game winning streak or something, I don't think Ten Hag is here next season, me personally.
Yeah.
But you got to think now, then that's restarting the whole project again.
Do it.
So how much money have you spent on Ten Hag's players? Now you're going to have to get all them lot out, buy a whole new set of
How many
players.
times did Liverpool restart, bro? Like, it's got to be done, man.
It has to
Like,
do it, bro.
You got to.
That's not a reason not to
like
restart.
Like John said, no one manager. It's very rare that one manager like Ferguson was an anomaly in it. Like that will never happen again.
Ferguson and Wenger.
Yeah.
Like that rarely happens. You've got to.
You've got to
go
think
through the pain.
Klopp and Guardiola. They've done nearly 10 years now.
No,
to be fair.
but Klopp was so between Rafa and Klopp, how many managers?
Oh, way too like Roy Evans, Graham Souness, Kenny Dalglish came back.
That's what I'm saying.
Rafa Benitez,
That's what I'm saying.
Roy Hodgson.
No, he said from Rafa.
Gerrard
From Rafa,
Houllier.
there's only about two.
No, but the project was from before.
After
before Rafa.
Rafa to Klopp is about two managers.
No, but the project was from before.
Rafa.
Then.
I think it's only Roy.
Nah.
I think Roy Hodgson.
Bro, I'm talking
so
about
Roy
going back to the
Hodgson,
90s.
Brendan Rodgers, and who else?
Klopp came after Roger, but I'm
He
going
came
back
after,
further than that.
That's it.
No,
Yeah.
but
So 3 managers. Yeah, that's my point.
no, but
No, but the third manager, you can't
No,
the third
but-
manager.
no,
You're
no,
not
no.
counting- you're not counting Rafa because Rafa was successful, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
Rafa won something.
Yeah,
yeah, but no.
Yeah, okay.
No. Rafa won something,
But
but
it was successful.
no.
His
Nah, he was,
project
he
at
was.
Liverpool
You
was
gotta count Rafa.
successful.
You
No,
gotta
no,
count.
I'm saying Rafa was successful, but Rafa never took us to a place where we are now, where we're constantly challenging.
For the Premier League.
Yeah, like it took 30 years for Klopp to come in and to get
Yeah,
right.
but this ain't Liverpool ain't really this is what he done was good, Rafa. That's got to be seen as a success.
I
Yeah,
think
but
so.
but what I'm saying, he didn't elevate us to where we are now. Like
I see what you mean.
didn't go
Yeah,
into
I see
every
what you're
season.
saying. I
I
understand
didn't go
he
into
didn't
every
do what he's
season
doing now,
thinking,
but you're
right,
still
we could potentially
but you're
win the
still
league.
successful though. You wasn't saying Rafa, oh, this is
No,
unsuccessful.
Rafa's a legend in my eyes and whatnot. But like to John's point, you can't to get back to where Man United need to be. If you've got to strip it back and start again with a new manager who can be like, right, next year I'm going to get you back into top 4. The following year I'm going to challenge for the title. That third year I'm going to like either win it or be close second kind of thing. Like it's got to happen.
How much
man.
times they've done it 5 times since Fergie?
Well,
Yeah, but how many
That's what-
managers did I
but
get?
then-
How many
Hey,
managers did I get?
isn't Ten Hag meant to be that man to do this?
Yeah, but he's not.
He's
What
not.
do you mean? Well, we're saying he's not. Why? Why is he not?
Because
Because
he showed it this season. Like
Well, you're right.
he's not the guy.
So I'm going to tell you how many games they've lost.
They were below Chelsea before they played today, bro.
Bro, 21 games.
So
And
last-
Chelsea are
he had a
dead.
good- he had a good season last season.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but again,
First season,
fact
he's
is
won a
again,
trophy and he's got them in Champions League.
Yeah, yeah.
So we say that's good. So he's had a bad one this year. No matter what happens from
Yeah,
here, he's probably going to be a bad
and
one.
the off the pitch stuff as well.
Okay,
But-
so we'll take.
Yeah, you got to take
But and like I said, Klopp had a really bad season last year.
Mm.
I always had faith he would turn us around. I'm not looking at Ten Hag and being
But he hasn't got that money in the bank that Klopp's got. That's why.
No,
we're
but he
looking
could
at-
have. And also what makes it worse for Ten Hag is it's not like other people are buying your players. He's been able to bring in these players. So he's got 500 million worth of transfers as well. When you look at that overall package, and then you got to take the human element into that. Okay, that was before
Yeah.
me. I'm here now. I've spent my big, that's a big investment, 1.5 billion, whatever it is. I'm just looking at it now, today, going forward. Are you the guy that's going to take us forward? And based on the evidence I've got since you got here, at the end of the season, it'll be 2 full seasons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but 2 full seasons. I'm not sure they're going to sit down and say, let's cut our losses now and go and get someone else.
If you compare that to someone like Arteta,
Mm.
after 2 years of Arteta, you could have maybe looked at it and thought, this maybe that ain't the guy.
Bro, most other people lose their job. I've said it
Yeah.
before. There's 2 times where most other managers lose their job when
I
Arteta
agree.
would have
Yeah.
done.
Mm.
but you saw the signs in it. Like
No, I wasn't going to say that. Okay.
no, but I know you weren't because
Yeah.
you've been
Yeah.
a critic,
Mm.
rightly so. But there were signs, like even with Klopp, even though his first full season, he got us back into the Champions League.
No, but you got to
on the
5
last day.
finals, bro. That's a big sign.
No, but Klopp didn't start off fantastically. Yeah,
Like,
he took a
He took us to, but like you could see the style of football change from Rodgers.
yeah.
So, like I'm saying, you saw the side of Arteta. Like if he had the pieces, it could work. Which shows
also
it has.
Klopp
So
had a
are we saying Ten Hag? You can't see anything then? Is that what we're saying?
If they didn't change ownership, yeah, and he kind of improved things a little bit towards the end of the season, and maybe got 6th or something, I could see how maybe they would say, okay, you know what? No more transfer decisions for you. Here's a director of football, and he maybe gets like the first half of next season to fix it. But I just think with the new owners, you know, it's just just normal human nature. We've come in, we've made a massive investment. We need to make our stamp. We don't have time to waste. I just wouldn't be surprised unless he absolutely pulls up trees, you know, for the remaining 17 games of the season. If things go how they've been going, I wouldn't be surprised if they come to the season and said, thanks, but we're going to move in a different direction.
And then, like, what's his style of play? Like, what kind of football does Ten Hag play?
I suppose. Do you know what? I think the recruitment is probably the biggest failure on his part.
Oh yeah,
like, the football hasn't been that bad to get the sack, but I think it's more the recruitment.
Yeah.
On the football, last season's a good season, this season's a bad season. So I would say you give him a third one, see how he gets on. This season, a lot of his players have been injured. He ain't really had his team out there. So
and also, you know, it's not just on Ten Hag, don't get me wrong, but he did have that control of it. And then you got to look at the other side of it where, again, I'm not taking on this club. Your bad decisions have lumbered me with players on X amount of time of contracts, X amount of money, blah, 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 blah. So sometimes it's not the best thing to do, but the easiest thing to do might be to just get a clean slate at the end of the season. And like I say, get someone who was probably the step up they need to make, because they're not going to get a blockbuster manager, right? They've tried that. And I don't know if any of the blockbuster managers right now would go to Man
You're
United.
going to get another project manager. Another Ten Hag, basically. Just not him.
No, but
I
I think a Ten Hag who's a bit further on in his career, right? So
could you give me a name, an example? Just
I'm trying to think of what's the name of the Inter manager?
Inzaghi.
Yeah.
Simone Inzaghi.
Simone Inzaghi. So I'm not saying they'll get him, but he's someone that is a young manager, but you know, he's not won the Champions League, but he's shown signs. I've got to the Champions League final. He's won the league. Won the league with Inter, didn't he? But he's been perennially challenging for the league. Had, you know, those kind of guys is where you'd argue if we put a career table up, they're doing it at a slightly higher level than Eredivisie, etc. There's probably, if you speak to those in the game, director of football's in the game, if you spoke to Eddie tomorrow and said, here's a list of managers, where would you categorize them?
That's similar CV to Ten Hag, though. Won the Dutch league, got to the semi-final of the Champions League.
No, but doing it in the Dutch league and doing it in Serie A is two different things. That's what I'm saying. So that step of going from the Dutch league or the Portuguese league, then going somewhere, then going to a club, especially when they're failing and you're the one that's got to turn the ship around and all of that stuff.
But even that, though, even going from Inter Milan to Manchester United, even that's a big leap.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's still a smaller leap than Ajax to Man United.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So don't get me wrong, I've not heard anything about Inzaghi leaving, but I'm just saying that's the kind of manager. So I said Fonseca at Lille, yeah? Even if he doesn't win the league, whatever, if he has a storming season, these days, Fonseca, no, bro, he should leave there and come here to Brighton or something first.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Wouldn't you take anyone from the Premier League?
What
about like a De Zerbi or someone like that?
The Derby might.
My initial reaction is yes, but I still think it's massive, man. I'm like, we saw it Potter, bro. I still think it's massive.
Yeah. It's like, for however bad Man United will be,
it's Man United.
It's Man United. So they could be near the relegation zone. Whoever gets appointed, the pressure's on them to do something in it. Like it's a bit of a poison chalice job in it. So
it's different. And so I don't know who, but as I always say, there's always managers, there's always players, right? There are people I can't name that are doing good things. I can't even tell you who the top 4, top 5 in the Italian league are right now. I looked at it yesterday, off the top of my brain. So they've got managers in mind. They got people that they want to talk to. You know, Xavi has worked for a really tough situation at Barca. I don't think he goes to manage anymore. So I think they bury him under that bloody stadium. But you know, there's managers about. So I wouldn't be surprised. At the end of the season, they package up everything and say, you know what, bro, thanks, but due to your performance on the pitch, your decisions you made, man management, thanks, but we're good.
Yeah, I think if Alonso stops, not Dortmund, Bayern winning the league, a lot of clubs will be clamouring.
I agree. But I would even say that's too early.
Yeah, I think Ten Hag gets one more season. I think as it stands at the moment, I think it gets one more.
I think maybe absolutely. But it'd be interesting to do that.
It'll be interesting to see.
And they might see it as like, okay, if we take away you're a good coach, if we take away the player buying bit from you,
and just coach,
and you just coach and we give you some players, fine, but that doesn't mitigate the other problems that they had.
That's the first
style of play.
Off-field.
Style of play. You couldn't instead of style of play with the players you bought. Number one. Number two, the man management stuff. That doesn't change that. Again, you had man. So, do you know what I mean? So, yeah we'll see. I'd be surprised, but we'll see. We will see. So, yeah, all the best to Jaden Sancho at Dortmund, man. Light it up. Anyway, there was a bit of a situation down at the Majestic Stadium. Is it still called that? Or is it called the Select Car Leasing Stadium or something?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
So let's just say Reading FC. There was a on-pitch protest against the owners.
Yeah, so just to touch on this, and it's just about how clubs are perceived and kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not vetted. But yeah. So for those that don't know, the Reading supporters have been kind of hardened, be trying to get the owner out. So Dai Young has been the owner for Reading for quite some time now. Since he's been owner, they've gone from the Championship down to now League One. Over the last 3 seasons, they've had point deductions over each of the 3 seasons. We can see them getting relegated to League One, and they're now in the relegation zone of League One.
Wow. Is it like Leeds all over again type vibes?
To be fair, it's more akin to kind of Bury, who kind of went out of business. So the last couple months, they haven't been able to pay their players. They've had to get in loans from their shirt sponsor, which is Select Car Leasing. And the conversation is, if you can see that an owner is not fit for purpose, how does the FA, the league, how do they manage that situation? And I'm going to mention kind of Chelsea in terms of when there were sanctions against their owners, they were forced out quite quickly. The whole kind of buyer process was kind of done quite quickly and forcefully, so to speak. We know there's no sanctions against I
was going to say, it's not apples with apples.
Yeah, there's no sanctions against the Reading owner, but if the powers that be can see that a club is being run really badly to the fact that they can't buy their players, what should be done? Because obviously you don't want things like Bury to happen again. Well, is it a case of you just let clubs just go out of liquidation and that's it? They try and start again like
any other company in the world. If the company be running bad, it's been running bad. What can you do?
And the thing is, there's a lot of emotions and sentiment around football, and some journalists are going to use this to get on their moral high ground tomorrow. Yeah, but I think people have to remember they are companies. Once the company's in flow, what do you want the authority to do? It's not just a football thing at that point. It's just normal limited company thing. So unless you're breaking the law or you're endangering people, etc., I think there's very few situations where an outside body that isn't the government can now just come and take over. And maybe that is some of the stuff that independent regulators should start doing. But unfortunately, you can't have it both ways, because when Majesty came in, he ran Reading well to a point and they got into the Premier and stuff. Yeah. You didn't mind that then. So there's too much nuance to it to be black and white. But fans, they have a right to feel aggrieved if they feel their club disappearing. But to compare it to the Chelsea thing, it's not the same thing, man. So that was
yeah. But I think it's a bit harsh on fans in general. Like, you spend your life supporting a club, etc., and then a bad owner comes in and runs it into the ground. Like, the whole emotional aspect.
As John says, it works both ways. You could support Chelsea all your life, and then Roman comes in, you're winning Champions League. So it works both ways.
Yeah, one of those things. So something to keep an eye on for Reading. It'd be a shame if a club does go under, but
all right. Well, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.